guys, it's Nurse Janet, Nursing the Truth, and I hope everyone is having a great Friday today. Well, I sure am, and this is going to be my third video of the day, and I know I'm always on my ancient series, Ancient Josephus, who were the players of the day, who's giving us what, this, that, and the third. So anyway, I'm going to be a little funny here, but Saul, Saul, where art thou, Saul? So anyway, where am I going with this? As I've told you people, you just don't believe, but you don't want to read. So are you just walking on faith alone and not seeing with your eyes? So anyway, Costobarus, that name, have you even heard of it before? Costobarus, Costobarus. Yes, friends, this is a real name, and it is in Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews, and this is a real person. Now, Costobarus was an associate of Herod the Great, who made Costobarus the governor of Idumea, and he was the second husband of Herod's sister Salome the First. He was also known as Costobar. Another member of the Herodian dynasty, was Costobar, who was the brother of Saul. Both Saul and Costobar were likely grandsons of Costobarus. As I've said, there was a Saul. He was an Herodian. Now, Costobarus, he came to rise in power following the capitulation of Jerusalem in 37 BCE during the campaign by Mark Antony and Herod against Hasmonean king Antigonus II. And this all ties in, friends. Costobar controlled the exits from the city. Around this time, Antony appointed Herod as Tetrarch of Judea, and Herod appointed Costobarus as governor of Idumea and Gaza. In 34 BCE, Herod gave his sister Salome in marriage to Costobarus. You see, before 37 BCE, friends, Herod was the procurator of Syria. So anyway, while Costobarus gladly accepted these favors, which were more than he had expected, he was never Herod's man. His focus was always towards Idumea and his own ambitions in that region. And Costobarus was from a noble and priestly family in Idumea. And he resented that the Hasmonean John Hyrcanus had made the Idumeans adopt the customs and laws of the Jews. He did not think it was proper for him to carry out the orders of Herod or for the Idumeans to be subject to them. He also had ambitions to rule Idumea himself and to achieve greater things. These attitudes led him to 3 acts which were aroused by Herod against him and eventually led to his execution. You see, the Hasmonean John Hyrcanus was going around and kicking ass and making everybody adopt their religion. And he didn't like it. His first transgression to become known was to approach Cleopatra to ask Antony for Idumea to be transferred to her instead of to Herod, as it had always belonged to her ancestors. Costobarus was ready to transfer his loyalty to her and hoped that he would eventually become its ruler. Cleopatra did ask, but Antony refused. Herod sought to kill Costobarus as soon as he found out, but his mother and sister prevented him from doing so. Herod eventually pardoned Costobarus for his actions, but from then on, Herod no longer trusted Costobarus. You may find this information on wikipedia.org, and you can read the rest for yourself. Now, Costobar and Saul were royal Herodian brothers and relatives of Antipas, son of Alexis, and of Agrippa II. While Josephus, as Arius Calpurnus Piso, does not specify the parents of Costobar and Saul, the name Costobar provides a clue. Their grandfather was very likely Costobarus, the second husband of Salome, the sister of Herod the Great, and Costobar is an uncommon name, there being only these two individuals so named in all of Josephus's writings. And that's true because I've read his writings and it's just that. This means that Antipas, son of Alexis, was a nephew of Costobar and Saul through their sister Cyprus. And Agrippa II was first cousin once removed to them through their aunt Bernice, who married Aristobulus, son of Herod, and are the parents of Agrippa I. Now, when the Jewish insurrection was going on against Roman rule, the momentum of Costobar, Saul, and Antipas requested Agrippa II to send assistance to prevent the imminent uprising. The two brothers also were active against the insurgents, insurrectionists, Jewish rebels. Following the Battle of Beth Horon, November of 66 AD, in which the Jewish insurgents defeated the Roman general Cestius, Costobar, Saul, and Antipas were besieged in the royal palace. The four, Cestius, Costobar, Saul, Antipas, were besieged in the royal palace. Subsequently, Costobar, with his brother Saul, escaped from Jerusalem to rejoin Cestius, who dispatched them to Emperor Nero in Greece. Okay, now you got a situation. We know that Arius Calpurnus Piso, through all the piecemealing of the different names, was Cestius. See, friends, in the Bible story of Acts, he cannot give himself away. But because he's the writer, he knew exactly what the hell Saul the Herodian was doing because he was writing as if. He was writing as Paul. He knew what Paul was doing. He was there. He was a family member, people. Arius Calpurnus Piso, Herod the Great, was his great-great-grandfather. Okay? So, they were Herodians. They were related to Cestius Gallus. He dispatches them to Nero. And see, Paul goes to Nero, remember? And remember, a lot of people were after Paul, and he had to go down into a little basket. Remember? And they had to lower him down, and the Jews wanted to kill his ass. Remember that? And that he dispatched 200 cavalry men. Now, what the hell is a Jewish person running around, quote per se, getting 200 Roman cavalry soldiers? And then that's when he went to Agrippa and was like, oh, and does his spiel. Okay, whatever. Antipas, who had remained in Jerusalem, was arrested by the insurgents and slain in prison by John, son of Dorcas, which is John, son of Tabitha, who was under commission from the Zealots. Now, Costobarus and Salome the elder had 2 children, Bernice and Antipater, by her marriage to Aristobulus, son of Herod. Bernice united the Costobarian and Hasmonean sides of the Herodians. The descendants of the 2 principals included 2 kings of Judea, Herod Agrippa I and his son the second, the tetrarch, Herod of Chalcis, Herodias and Salome, the younger of the New Testament, a line of treasurers of the temple, and the brothers Costobar and Saul. The younger Salome was the matriarch of the Christian Aristobulus of Britannia. The family tree of these individuals is shown, and you may see all of this at wikipedia.org. You see, the Herodians, the Flavians, and the Pisos are all related. Herod the Great married Miriam the First, and she was a Hasmonean. And also, Herod himself come from the Maccabean line through Eleazar Aaron. Go look that up for yourself, friends. And so basically, Miriam the First and Herod the Great were distant cousins, friends. And so now you have all of these people marrying together, and then you have, all the Sabinius, Flavius, and marrying into these Hasmoneans, and then you have all of the dynasties together. You have these Jews, you have these Romans, and a lot of these Roman soldiers, guys, were Jews. Did you know that? Because when they came in and took over Judea and all that, they forced a lot of people into the Roman army. Bet you didn't know that. Also, Tiberius Julius Alexander, that helped Titus, quote, probably Josephus in the works. But we know that Arius Calpurnius Piso did help Vespasian and Titus coming in. So therefore, Tiberius Julius Alexander was a Jew, but he went to the Roman side and burned the damn temple down. So that is on the internet as well, friends. So if, you want to hear all this crying BS, the Jews went over to the other side and, killed a lot of people, helped burn down the temple. So, friends, either you're going to do bad or you're going to do good. It's your choice. And, whatever. But, a lot of people don't know this information. It's like cry, cry, cry. You don't want to read the history of these people. You don't want to go read. Now, a lot of these doppelgangers, these Roman writers, were of the Flavian dynasty. a lot of the noble aristocrats from the Senate. But then you have great people like Julian the Apostate that knew about this Christian Roman Empire, and he wanted to go back to the pagan ways, which was probably the best thing, but they killed his ass on the battlefield. And then we have Celsus, which had a book about the true doctrine and what they were doing. And the only way we have anything from Celsus is from Origen that refuted, which was, another pen name from the Flavian dynasty. So anyway, it's one big racketeer. And so anyway, find this information for yourselves, and it's readily available to you. Now, if you go to a website called JesusNeverExisted.com by Ken Humphries, he is a very good agnostic atheist person to look for in his books as well. Now, he talks about, in the book of Acts and Josephus's books. Now, friends, why would you have Josephus writing his books and then it's in the Bible? Think about that. He writes about Florus and Agrippa and Saul and Antipas, and Saul gains access to King Agrippa. But then Paul and Saul go to Agrippa in Acts 8:3. Then Saul, the king's kindred. Then you've got in Acts 13:1 and Romans 16:11 talking about the same thing. You're also talking that he was brought up with Herod the Tetrarch. Well, hell yeah, you're brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, because that is your, good cousins. Okay, then he's going on to talk about that the Saul and Costobarus, the Roman family, used violence. And then you've got Acts 9:1 where he's violent. Then you've got in the Jewish Rome book of the war, you have that Saul, who were brethren together with Philip, the son of Jacomus, who was the commander of Agrippa's forces, ran away from the city. And then you've got basically where they flee from Jerusalem because they wanted to slay him, and that was in Acts 9:29, like I had said earlier. So, friends, please take a look. Think about this. If Arius Calpurnus Piso had nothing to do with this, nothing to do with the new religion of Rome, which Seneca and others of the Senate already were talking about how big Judaism was, and they did not want that in the Roman Empire. And they were already talking about ways, and they were already meeting at Lake Tiberias under the reign of Tiberius to come up with some type of new religion for Rome. So this was in the works for a long time in the family tree. And it was also talked about by Seneca that the basically that the conquerors of the Jews were going to be conquered by their religion, and they didn't want that. They wanted the whole kit and caboodle. So think about this, friends. If Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews and the War of the Rome and Jew War book, and against Apion and the Bellica Judicaea, why is this parallel in the Bible? What does this have to do with any man, God that came to save the world? Because in his writings, he says nothing of this. But he talks about the Jews and the Roman-Jew War of 66 to 73. And the last bit was when they all committed suicide in Masada. Josephus somehow knows all about this too, because he was there. So think about it, friends. If this was a true, authentic story, and this was supposedly happened in 30 or 33, and Josephus wasn't born until 37, things are not adding up. Because how can he write before he was born? Until next time, Hotep and Ashe, and look to the gods of Egypt, because they are the one true source of it all. Until next time, have a great weekend. Stay dry if you're in the south, because it's going to get some wicked weather. But it's okay. If anything was to happen, I know where I'm going. So anyway, have a great day, guys. Goodbye.